Okay, if we're gonna do this, we're gonna do it right. Alright, so turn up my headphones. Take a little bit of that treble out of the mic. Okay. Right there. I'm here to clear the jelly like a candy crush. I'm 3 in a row, shapeshift, rearrange dynamics. Here to save the day so you can go to sleep. Here to clear a conscience, I remain anonymous. I'm here when you disappear on some David Blaine. I'm the trick that ain't go well. Here for you to go tell. Here today, here tomorrow. I was here when you wasn't there. Later in the album, I'ma start to clear the air, but not now. I'm just here and still amazing with ink on paper. Words remain solid. Let me toss your erasers. I've been here, but nothing like a savior. I can't change the world.
Okay,
There are
so
not enough diapers.
let's talk about how you guys ended up here.
All right. Well, we ended up here 2 ways. I am a product of this business. So I ended up here kind of by legacy, and then I married her. And she sort of said, I'm not working for white people no more.
Is this going in the video?
Yeah, that is accurate. Like he said, he grew up in the black press. I married into the black press. And so that's the shortest way that we can talk about that journey. But yeah, there was one day that I had called him. This is after, many months and years probably of knowing that I could do more, but not really being able to find an avenue within the companies that I was working for, and not finding that, just that whole fulfillment thing, like if I died tomorrow, like what would people say about me? So yeah, I probably had an anxiety attack about that one day and called my husband and told him, like, you got to come pick me up now because, things have got to change. Fast forward a couple weeks later, I am basically preparing to start working for the Weekly. Lots of changes emotionally and structurally to the business. And that's how I got here.
Have there been any surprises? I know COVID was one. Where you guys are like, no, we got to figure this out. We didn't plan for this.
I wouldn't say anything that necessarily jumps out because COVID had to be the only thing
that was probably the thing.
But I mean, again, like when you run a business like ours in a community like ours, where we unfortunately are in one of the most lower income communities of Dallas, and so we don't get a lot of reinvestment back from our exterior community. We have to search for those dollars a lot harder than some of the other media stations, in the Metroplex. And so with that, when you have that frame of mind, you always know that you got to pivot, you got to move and shake and do what you got to do to get cash flow through the door. And so like COVID doesn't really affect communities of color the same way it did. It didn't like destroy people, because when you're already struggling and trying to stay afloat, then you already know how to move and shake and make moves to survive. So
yeah, my father said, you should see what I can do with anything because I've been working this long with nothing. So, and a lot of that's not just us, that's, kind of the history of our folk. When you don't have anything, you kind of got to admit, like, it's kind of a miracle we're even, like, what we're doing right now. Like, camera people, journalists, writers, everything we're doing now is kind of a miracle. So, yeah, I mean, I'd say there's probably been things that, we weren't expecting, but I don't think there's anything that's going to shake it to the point where we can't, get back up and do something different. That is the nature of this business,
And we're also talking about like 65 years of history in a business. There's like, what could possibly happen that hasn't already happened? And again, we're talking about 193 years of press, of network of people that we can go to. So if it didn't happen to us, we have the black press to depend on to say, what do we do?
Yeah, how does that work?
Mm-hmm.
Right. What are some challenges that you guys have faced since you've taken over the business?
Money is always a challenge. Money is hard to come by, and well, it's hard to come by, and especially for what we do, a lot of the people who are known for giving money don't like to give it either. So, we advocate for the black community. That means that if you get dollars to us, you're basically saying you advocate for the black community. Well, does corporate America really believe that? Or is it like, that's kind of the thing. So you have to do a lot of convincing. Sadly, we have to do that on our end too. There are a lot of us who don't want to be seen as quote unquote black owned or black presenting. You've always got the media industry as a whole. Print dies, digital rises, PR firms and marketing companies now kind of dominate that, where it used to be the other way around. You got bloggers and, so-called black media outlets trying to take over the voice of the black community, et cetera, et cetera.
I would say that would be the biggest challenge, is being that identifying mark of being that black news resource. Everybody can get in front of their phone, put up a light, say like, I have the news, I'm the resource, and if you do something crazy enough and get enough followers, then you're all of a sudden a certified resource of news. And that is not the case. That's why I always proudly pride myself on the fact there is no, we are nationally recognized. We are a news entity. I am not a blog. I'll highlight your business, and there's nothing wrong with blogging, but this is a journalistic entity first and foremost. So you'll never see us doing the things that will necessarily be on trend just for the sake of being on trend, because that's not our focus. Our focus is journalism and providing a service to our community. That's number one. And if we're not doing that, then we're not doing our jobs.
So lots of challenges. And, making sure you're the one that people understand is the one is probably the most challenging, especially with a loud and crowded media market with everything
ever-changing
going on.
as well. So staying attractive and staying relevant.
It's like being married.
Staying true to yourself. Yeah, it is like being married.
Have you guys felt at some point in time like you were failing? And
yeah, all of 2019.
Nah.
Okay, so
well, maybe
that was my first year, so I was new to the industry. 2018 I started here. 2019 was a very tough year financially for us because we were new managers, also new parents, still newly married. So a lot of shifts, a lot of emotional changes, the things to take home, as Dad would say. So I think it had its own challenges just based on circumstance. But I also think those challenges allowed us to double down and create plans and really make us figure out what type of business owners and managers we wanted to be. And so that's what we did. And I think you're seeing the results of what planning and working hard looks like.
I personally don't believe in failure. And I've said I've been in this is my life, so I've seen ups and downs, some of the worst downs. And it's still here. It's 65 years old. It's as old as some people's grandparents, that doesn't mean that it failed. It means that it goes on and you don't. So you can fail, but this thing doesn't.
Right.
So you get to choose whether or not you get to be a part of it or go do something else. You don't really fail here. You ain't built for this. For me, it was you get to rise to the table, you get to rise to the occasion, or you get to go do something else. But, either way, you get to make the choice. And that was a choice. I went to California, did the thing. It's nah. And the lessons learned from the pitfalls of this industry just make it so that you don't make them again. So luckily, I had a dude who was making mistakes in the 80s who said, don't do this. Don't do that. Look at that. This is what happened back then. That's way too much money for that. These kind of things. And so once again, that whole, the benefit of the legacy is the things you're going to fail at, someone's already failed at. And they're telling you directly as you're doing it, that's not what's going to happen. You get to say, I'm a kid, so, you can say, I'm going to do it anyway. He's like, sure. But even then he was like, so it failed, right? It's yeah, here's why. And then here's how you could have fixed that. These kind of things. And so you don't make those mistakes anymore. I've even put her on pass to say, go do that and see what happens. And it will go, what the? It's that's what happens when that doesn't. So now we'll do that for the children. It's you're going to have to go out there and make a sale that's going to fail.
You got to fall.
You got to fall down. But you know what's great is you have a family business, so you're never not going to get picked up. You can fall all you want because you're going to have that foundation. And that's to say the failure is nah, there really wasn't an option. Neither one of my parents would have allowed it. And they're no, you don't get to run the weekly. You get to go do this or whatever it is, but this thing is here to help us. So you can't even be put in a position to hurt it.
And it's also bigger than us.
Yeah,
like
it's
you
also
said.
way bigger than us. So this is Tony Davis's legacy and stuff like that. So
It's South Dallas
mismatch.
legacy. Exactly.
For those people who know who that are, you're probably over 60.
We talked about this earlier, but I want to talk about it now here on camera. The family legacy part, and how you guys make that work, because this is truly a family business. It's not just you guys are married and this is a family business. Your parents are involved, and everyone works so well together. How do y'all manage that and keep everything business?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't get to choose your family unless you
Right.
marry them. And I said, since it's family business, it is kind of weird to say, like, it always has been that. So the having to work with somebody, and it's also a little bit more, I think it's more difficult because, for example, your boss at your job could tell you to do something and you probably would just do it and complain under your breath. You tell your dad that you want to do something you don't want to do. You ain't gonna say nothing. Like, I ain't gonna do that. It's like,
Right.
There will be that. It'll turn into parent-child in a meeting and then turn back into boss. And people have to sort of adjust around it. I remember looking at other people's faces as things would be said, and they were like, and it's like, right, because that's when he was talking to me as a son and a father.
Yeah.
And this is when he was talking to me. So it's like, that'll just blend.
And he truly grew up like that, because he'll say, hey, wife, taking boss cap off, putting husband cap on, just identifying the
Because it
tone
will
of the
blend.
communication. And it will blend.
I'll
'cause
be
how can you
mad
not
about
take it home?
something at work, and it's like, it has nothing to do with the house. So, but you can't take that and go, you were yelling. It's like, I wasn't yelling at you because I was yelling because you messed up here.
Right.
That's kind of how that works. And that happens throughout. I have sisters who worked here, brother-in-law worked here. Hopefully their children and our children will be here. So it's like, you kind of have to understand that it's bigger than you. And it is easy because, like you argue with your family, so hopefully, it works out. But it works out. You're not like, we had an argument, so we ain't family no more. That's the business. Like, the business is like, so what you argued? Does the job get done? It doesn't matter if they didn't like the way you said that. Like,
Right.
did the
I'll
thing
see you
get
at
done? I'll
Christmas.
see you at Christmas.
Yeah.
Like, I'll see you at home. See you this weekend. Are we still
Right.
going to the movies? Like, that kind of thing. And like I said, you said it's even expansive. Like, my father's wife and him are over at her family paper.
At the Atlanta Voice.
At the Atlanta Voice, basically doing the same thing. Like, just making it work, getting it to the next level, polishing it up for the next generation. And we're doing the same thing. And so I think the weirder dynamic is husband-wife, because there isn't a historic relationship of professionalism there. It is whatever we were before that. Now it's like, you do better take that off, because I'm not telling you to do something as your husband. Like, this ain't a submit to me wife kind of thing. This is a taking off the thing, because your job is to do these things.
Right.
And there shouldn't be any emotion. If I was some old dude in an office, you'd be like, all right. But now you're like, why you want to say that? Like, and thing. So especially when you do that in front of other people, it'll mess it all up. Like, the whole thing becomes a family, because people see you arguing and be like, whose side you on? And they'll choose you as a mother and father, and they'll that kind of happens too. Like,
Yeah.
I know my dad was looked at as a dad by his employees sometimes, and it's like,
And
well,
we've actually bantered on virtual calls, where we've had to be like, hold on, kids.
Calm it down.
Yeah, let's move to the side and convene real quick. So it's a good practice obviously for work and for our relationship as well. So constant calibration.
Yeah, it's a reset button every day, which is fine. I like it. Works for me.
So we got through 2020. Yay! And what has been the best part of this year, even though we
Some
had
of
the
the
whole
wins.
COVID thing? Yeah, give me some wins.
I would say the Mark Cuban partnership
There you
that
go.
we acquired through our amazing father-in-law,
And-
my
and-
amazing
and
father-in-law.
NPA.
Yeah, there was a panel
National
that was done.
newspaper.
Mark Cuban was on it. It was talking about, what to do with the social unrest and how, allyship can improve, businesses and, partnerships. And so Mark Cuban looked at what we had to service and he agreed to partner with us. That was a really big win for us this year, just on a local scope and also financially for us as well. I would also say our partnership with LMA.
Yeah, Local Media Association helped us to get some national connections with our Black publishers together. We got a new, I used to call it consortium of papers called Word in Black, focusing on issues in the Black community from the Black voice. They've been helping us a lot with that financial part, which is great because it's hard to get money. Even in this grant and COVID time, it's still very difficult to get money, and they've done a very good job at finding financing for projects that we want to do.
And keeping us abreast of industry standards.
Yeah, standards and stuff like that.
The digital spirit.
I'd say one of my favorites is the Dallas Free Press with Carrie Mitchell.
Yes.
She helped us to replant our foot in the community with journalistic integrity, focusing on neighborhoods and communities instead of really just talking about what's going on. It's about what's happening and how that affects you. And that's kind of cool.
Which has created a lot of engagement
yeah, it's got a lot
with
of
our
engagement.
audience.
Very
Very
that's great.
grateful for that.
And those are probably the best wins. And now we got a good win because the year went pretty well.
Oh, Best of Black Dallas.
Oh, Best of Black Dallas. Yeah.
Probably my favorite.
That was because she did it.
Yeah, I did do it. But I think that it was a really good opportunity for us to do, I guess some people in the media or in marketing would call it a land grab, but I felt at the time, what triggered me is that there was a memorial that was going on in the city that was getting a lot of press, and it was actually kind of depressing, in my opinion. And so I wanted to switch the narrative and do something instead of Black people commiserating and, that's kind of what we do traditionally. It was we gloat and we're sad. And I said, no, we need to be celebratory. Because if you made it this far, then there's something to celebrate. If you're a business and you still have a website, if you still have a social media account, and you still taking, orders on your Cash App, you've succeeded in 2020. And so I wanted to just gather as many people as possible to say, hey, look, it's not about celebrating the Dallas Weekly. It's y'all celebrate each other. And by the way, go out and vote. And so I wanted to do something to level the importance of getting out there, using your voice, but also using your voice to support your community. And I get very emotional sometimes just thinking about the reaction. 10,000 votes across the nation. Like I said, national recognition. And to me, that's not even the most important part, but simply the recognition back from the community. People saying how evolving it was for their business, how life-changing it was. It couldn't have been a better reaction. So Best of Black Dallas is my favorite project that we did this year.
Yeah, I'd agree.
So where do you guys see the Weekly in the next 5 to 10 years?
In the next 5 to 10 years, I hope, and I will be working hard to create within the community a sense that the Weekly is the place to get your information, Black, white, or otherwise. I think that our perspective is important, and I want to make sure that across whatever platform people are imbibing media, I want to be there, and I want them to understand that when you get to Dallas and you type in what's going on in Dallas, I want my site to pop up. Especially if you're Black and you want to know where everybody is, what's going on, I want you to know where it is. And I want that to be so well known that you can stop somebody on the street and go, hey, I'm looking for the best Black barbecue spot. And they go, oh, you should go to the Weekly because that's where everything is. That's where I want us to be. And of course, paid.
Right. Yeah, of course, the same. Being back to what he said, the heyday and being that liaison for everything that's Dallas and Black. But one thing I also would like to do is just really make the Black press recognizable again. Is that first and foremost thing? So if somebody graduates with a degree in journalism, I want them to be looking for Black publications to work to before they go off to, other entities. I'm going to just say it that simply.
Anywhere else.
Yeah. Because what people don't understand is that when you see those historical pictures, of from the civil rights movement and things like that, those came from photographers who worked for Black publications historically. Majority of them did. And so we need to get back to a place, I feel, that for that trusted news, that community-based news, it needs to come from the source. Period.
And also the ecosystem. I don't think that our community has, in my opinion, lost its understanding of how ecosystem works.
Yes.
Segregation ruined a lot of stuff. Integration ruined a lot more. in my opinion, because at least there was a time when you were forced to go to the black doctors, the black dentists, the grocers, the retailers, the carpenter, like you couldn't get it. So everybody was working, everybody did have region. Integration kind of ruined that, but I think that what it really, really hurt was the idea that your black press, your black paper, wherever it is, was the place where you advertised your business. It was the place where you put the events. It was the place where you could pick it up and you knew where you could go. That has been eroded, not completely lost, but I feel like there's an opportunity for us in the digital space to create that new center point. You know, because there's a lot of media outlets, like I said, but the trusted ones, like the ones that people know they're telling the truth. And even if they mess up, you know it's a genuine mistake, not I'm trying to lead you astray. That ecosystem, that focal point, we should be in 10 years. And everyone should know that, so that if you are a entrepreneur, if you're a business, if you're just a person in corporate America looking for networking, you can go to the site, you can go to the mobile, you can go to the social, you can just call the office and literally ask the question you want. And they will have an answer. We will have an answer for you. That's where we're going.